Hello, Nathan here with Twisted Roots Home Decor in Brooks, Alberta. I've teamed up with designer Epoxy again to bring you another tutorial video. Today what we're going to be doing is we're going to be pouring a coffee table using the deep casting designer Epoxy resin. So it's a 2-to-1 mixture, super clear, amazing stuff. I've done so many tables with this stuff. It's fantastic. You can pour up to 5 inches thick. Depending on the surface area of what you're pouring and depending on the temperature of the room as well and the temperature of your epoxy. So some big things are going to be where you store your epoxy. That's going to be very important for how the epoxy is going to set up. If it's really warm in the room that you store it in, the epoxy is going to set up faster and cure quicker, which is going to get warm, and you could get some flash curing going on. So you want to keep it in a room that's about 15 degrees, somewhere in that range is more ideal. So like I say, we've got part A, we've got 2 of these. So it's a 3-gallon kit. We're gonna start off with that. Your part B. So we'll get started with those. I'm going to get it mixed up here shortly. But what we need to do first is we need to get some measurements of the area here to get a rough idea of what it's going to take to fill it. So now with these molds, sometimes like this one here, I hit it a little too hard and I actually deformed it a little bit, so it's not perfectly straight on the back end. So a bunch of epoxy is going to run in and behind here, and then it runs, because these are angled so that it's easier to get the piece out after. It does waste a bit of epoxy because it runs in around the sides, which is unfortunate, but it is what it is. It saves so much time and effort not having to build a mold every time. So my standard coffee tables that I do are 24 by 48, which is that's what this mold is. So we are using today a piece of Claro walnut. Claro walnut is just fantastic. It's so beautiful. The grain in it is phenomenal. It ain't cheap, but it's awesome. So we'll get some measurements. I don't know if you'll be able to see with my weight in there. So also, again, the reason I put a weight on here is you don't want your piece floating up. Say you pour all your epoxy, you walk away, you come back and it's floated up to the top. So I always put a weight on it just to hold it down so that we're not going to get any floating. So we'll move that out of the way for a second. So what we're going to do is just take about 3 measurements, get a rough idea of what this area is. So we're going to take, that's about 8 inches there across, and then we're going to be about 8 inches there, and then we're about 14 inches there. So grab the trusty calculator because I ain't that good at math. We're going to take 8 plus 8 plus 14 is 30. So divide that by 3. This is going to give us roughly 10 inches as an average. So we know this is 48 inches. So we're going to take 10 inches times 48 times our depth here of the piece of wood is 2¼ inches. Again, I'm going to try and finish this table at about 2 inches all said and done. So we'll take that times 2.25, which is going to be 1,080. So I do everything in milliliters when I'm pouring. It's just how I do it. A lot of guys do ounces. It all depends. It's what you prefer. So take that. We're going to times that by 0.0164, which is going to give us 17.7 liters that it's approximately going to take to fill all of this. So we'll go ahead. We'll start mixing up. Get our first amount poured. This will be the easiest one because I'm going to be using a 5-gallon bucket. So I'm just going to dump the full 3 gallons, which is about 11.4 liters. So I'm going to pour that all into here, get that mixed up. And the color we're using today, which was selected by Gabriel at Designer Epoxy, is the Mother of Pearl White. So it's going to look so good. Like I've done Mother of Pearl with just charcuterie boards and walnut. I'm pretty excited to see what this is going to turn out like. It's going to be awesome. So I'm going to go ahead, get these opened up, get them poured into the bucket, and get mixing, and we'll be back and get it poured. Alrighty, so now for the coolest parts. Let's get this poured in there. I drill out of the way. I just like to let it sit over there and drip. It's not dripping all over my workspace. Alrighty. Big thing is try not to drop it. You'll have a big mess. Oh, that's gonna look so cool once it's all done. I am excited to see this finished. Crazy, it looks like the 3 gallons is almost enough to fill it up, but until it runs all the way around all the sides. And then what I'll do is take a bit over here and we'll just fill up this void. Let it fill up, and underneath these two, there's a bit of an open pocket underneath, so it take a little bit to fill that up. Don't have to worry about the over pour on it because I will be running it on my flattening jig, my router sled, so it'll remove all of that. Get some back over in here to help this kind of start to fill up. And then the fun part of being able to see roughly what I'm going to need to fill the rest. Try and get any of the cracks that are running down. Alrighty, that's about got her for now, and then we'll have to mix some more up. Look how cool this is going to be. And yes, there's lots of bubbles up top. That's always going to happen when you're pouring this big of a pour. What you can do is just take a torch or heat gun and just run it over top, which will get rid of the bubbles. Alrighty, so we've got some more mixed up. Again, it's always tough with this mold because so much goes in and around and behind the piece of wood. It's really tough to figure out the exact amount of epoxy you need, that you're going to need for it. So I'm going to add a bit here and see if it's enough, and if not, I'm going to have to, looks like I'm going to have to mix up a little bit more to get it up to snuff where I want it. Won't be a lot, but it's going to be a little bit more for sure. We'll get the rest of that mixed up and get that poured in. And the nice thing is you've got, like I said, you got lots of working time with it. It's going to initially set up in about about 3 to 5 hours, it starts to really kind of start getting set up. And then 24 to 48 hours, it's kind of dry to the touch. And then about 72 hours, it's, you know, cured enough that you could pull it out of the mold. I like to wait a little bit longer. Just my experience with it, I've waited about, I wait about 4 or 5 days, just so it's good and hard, so that when you pop it out of the mold, it just pops out of the mold a lot easier. So, alrighty, I'll get the rest mixed up. We'll get it filled up. Alrighty, let's get this topped right up. All right, that's like perfect amount. I'm always worried about just mixing too much up sometimes and then just wasting some. So that's why I take a couple extra moments. And oh, there's a bug crawling on my table. It's that time of year, they're trying to find their way into warmth. So it's always fun trying to keep bugs, especially flies right now and maple bugs, keeping them out of the epoxy. And dust. Dust is a killer. That's one big thing. Try to have a dust-free area if you can, as dust-free as you can get it. Alrighty, so like I say, we got lots of time for this to cure and set up. What you can do as well, depending on the temperature of your room, like my room in here is too darn warm, and we are sitting at about 21 degrees. Now, ideally, you want it right around 20 or colder. I like to have it around that 17. It's kind of ideal that I like it. But what you can do, just so that you don't have any flash curing, is you don't want that to happen. Sorry, I'll just get rid of these bubbles quick. Yeah, you don't want any flash curing happening. So you can monitor the temperature if it's getting up around that. If the epoxy is getting up, you know, around 28, 30 degrees, it can start to set up quicker. What you can do is just take a small fan and set it up at the one end, or one on each end, and just have a fan blowing air over top of it, which is going to keep it cooler and keep you from flash curing. So that is pretty much the gist of pouring your deep pour. Now it's just the waiting game. That's the fun part. Alrighty, so again, this is pouring your deep casting from Designer Epoxy. If you're interested in some amazing epoxy, check out designerepoxy.ca. If you have any questions on it, you can talk to Gabriel directly. He's fantastic. Like, him and I chat all the time, shoot the shit even about all this type of stuff. He's become a good friend, so it's pretty awesome. And again, please, you know, hit the subscribe button. That is going to help me just, you know, further along my business as well. The more likes, the more subscribers I get, just the better. You know how social media works, right? So please, if you like my videos, or if you have any comments on what I could do better, I know I can't really make myself better looking, but I could try. Anyway, yeah, check out Twisted Roots on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, or LinkedIn. Oh, what am I forgetting? TikTok. Let's run over those again. TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube. And I'm working on a website, so eventually I'll have a website that I can send you to as well to check things out. If you have any custom stuff that you'd like built, definitely give me a shout. Thanks for watching.